Hey everybody, welcome to Houdini Hangout. We are in the middle of December. It's the 18th of December, and we're here for another MOPs Monday. So should be pretty fun tonight. Got some ideas for what we can do for the stream, and just some ideas for um, kind of making an interesting effect. Tonight we're going to talk about, just doing some standard like kind of growth type stuff in Houdini, just using mops and growing some different shapes, maybe along a some sort of a base shape. Basically, I'm gonna make some little crystals, like something pretty simple, and have those grow along some sort of geometry in our scene, and then from there, we could we're gonna try to transition that into some fluid type simulation stuff. So that is the plan for this evening. Should be pretty fun. Hope you're all having a great month so far. Getting close to the holidays, so my plan will be to probably take a little bit of time off coming closer to the holidays. Obviously, the week of Christmas, I'm not going to have any streams just because it'll be a little bit busy. And I don't think I have anything planned until probably the new year. So let me just double check that real quick on my little calendar here. Yes, it looks like, well, on here I have I have a stream on the first, but that's New Year's Day, and I probably won't be streaming. Well, we'll see. We'll see how I feel when I get a little closer to that one. But the week of oh, hello. Hey, KG and Andy. Welcome. Happy holidays. So I'll have a little bit of time off, kind of chill, recharge the batteries a little bit. I also like to do a little bit of, with the start of a new year, try to do some little tweaks to the stream and things like that. So if you have any suggestions for ways that I can improve the stream, I'm always interested in that. You can always go to HoudiniHangout.com, grab the web link there, and or the Discord server invite there. And there's a channel on Discord that you could make suggestions or comments about the stream itself. Doesn't get a ton of activity, but I'm always interested to hear if there's something I could be doing better. I'm inching closer to true middle age by the day, and I have no idea sometimes all the cool streaming stuff that's out there. So I try to keep up with it the best I can. But if there's something you've seen and you're like, hey, you should try to do this, or I don't know what's out there, what people are doing, but I'd always be happy to learn more and be able to make it better for everybody. So that would be great. And I'm going to just probably go through and try to clean some stuff up and do a few little things here and there just to make the stream a little bit more, look a little better or something. I don't know. We'll see what I get into. But yeah, that's the idea here as we're coming to the end of the year. So, for the stream tonight, I had the idea, this idea kind of came from, I think it was Pascal on the Discord server. Another thing to mention about the Discord server is that if you have ideas for the stream, you can go on there. There's a little forum channel in there in the Discord server, and you can post ideas that you might have for topics that we could cover on the stream. And so those are obviously, could be anything. They could have to do with mops. They could not have to do with mops. They could be, we've even had some suggestions about setting up HQ, which I would really like to do. I only really have one computer to do this with. Next year, I'm going to be building a new computer. So I think maybe that will be the impetus for getting HQ running, is having both computers talking to each other. I do have a laptop, but that's a work thing. And I don't know how much I want to I don't know how much I want to load onto that, because it's just a laptop. But so anyways, that there's ideas that have kind of ranged the gamut from that. And So if you have ideas about anything, maybe it's doing more PDG stuff, or maybe it's grooming, or I don't know, whatever. Always interested to hear what you guys are looking to learn more about. Yeah, I think that's about it as far as just random stuff to mention. I had terrible hat hair today, so I'm wearing a baseball hat, which is a little bit yeah, KG, that is yeah, I try to do that every so often, like the Q&A type shows and things like that. Yeah, for sure. I like to do that, and that's fun too, because it definitely gives a chance for people to maybe bring up things that are a little bit, smaller topics, I guess, but that we can kind of chat about and go back and forth and have a little more of a conversation about something. So that is cool too. But yeah, that is a great comment for sure. And I love those as well. They're a lot of fun. Those really get a lot of people talking. So I always like that. And, if you have any comments or suggestions during the stream, even just like ways of doing things better, please feel free to drop a comment in the chat. Thanks, Scary Toy. I love you guys too. Thanks for joining. And, yeah, so if you guys have any comments or thoughts or ideas or anything like that, please feel free to put them in the chat. There's no dumb questions here. Happy to try to explain anything. Obviously, there's times where I'm not explaining things clearly, or maybe just there's extra details that haven't been maybe fully understood, or I've kind of haven't fully gone through. Always happy to, stop and take a moment to make sure people are on the same page, because if you have the question, probably somebody else does. So that is always an encouragement here. This is a safe place to ask questions and learn more. So, and for sure, I don't know everything. So there's a lot of times that I'm going to come into stuff and go, oh, I did that the wrong way, or did that a stupid way, or I'm fumbling around with something and someone drops something in the chat and it helps us get to the next step. So there's many times where those things will happen, and I'm sure it'll happen this evening. This one's a little bit unstructured as far as like, I have an idea of what I want to do, but I'm not sure exactly how it's going to go. So we'll see. But yeah, anyways, just always feel free to drop comments in the chat and put your 2 cents in, because that's always helpful. It's always nice to hear what people are thinking and different ways of doing things and questions and that type of stuff. So always feel encouraged to do that. That is this is a safe place for asking questions. So I think with that, we can get started and start playing around with making some geometry and starting to play around with it and do some hopefully interesting things. So let's do that, and we'll kind of dive into Houdini. I have my fade to black on, which is great. That is one thing I'm wanting to do, is have a little bit smoother like transitions in the stream. I know that's like a tech thing. I used to do a lot of like live video stuff, so all of those things really like hit me, and I'm like, I always do them in the moment, and then I'm like, shoot, I gotta think of better ways to do some of these things. So anyways, I'm always thinking about these little functions, like how fades and timing and transitions and all that stuff. So all right, so let's first make a few different crystals. I'm not going to do anything, I don't think, too crazy here, but we're going to kind of play around with, and I think I'm going to make some like maybe like hexagonal crystals. Hexagonal. That's, I can speak good. Hexagonal crystals. I think that'll give me some ability to kind of make the tops sort of interesting and have some interesting shapes to them, and from there we'll go through and we'll bring those into MOPs and start instancing them around the scene. So that's my plan. All right, so let's drop down a geo node. Let's see. I'm not sure how far we'll go into this. We'll say geo crystals. I'm not sure if how much we're gonna do in here, but that's what I'll call it for right now. All right, so let's do a tube. Let's do a polygonal tube. And since I'm going to want these to kind of grow from the base here, let's do a match size. Oh, I don't have my little keyboard thing on so you can see what I'm typing. All right, so let's do a match size. Let's do a minimum to the ground plane. Let's maybe make them a little narrower, something like that. And I think, actually, you know what? Maybe octagonal will be better. That might be better. Cool. We could do end caps. However, I think it'll be better to do a polyfill here. And this way we can do, we can have a better structured top and bottom here. So let's do this with a triangle fan. I'm gonna make sure the deformation is off. I think by default, this used to be like this or something like that. It used to be like something like 0.25 or something. Like, I don't know why. I mean, that does look kind of fun as far as crystals go. But that used to be the default and it was always really weird, but we'll turn that off. I think what I'm going to do is just take this top, the top group here. So, let's see. Okay. So we can just do let's do a group and we'll just create a group based on, let me click that. We'll make a point group based on whatever is not on the ground plane. So I'm gonna change this to points and we'll call this like the noise points or something like that, because we're going to noise up those points. And the group is going to be, we'll say at p.y greater than 0. And so that should take anything that is up here and not on the ground plane. Now, since we just have points that are at the bottom here that are on this kind of floor plane, and these top points, these are the ones that are going to get selected. So that should work. And let's see, I think I could do a mountain sop here, which is technically just an attribute noise. And if I put that into the group noise points and up the amplitude here, yeah, so that is actually noising along the vector, and I don't want it to do that. So let's change something here. Let's create an up vector so that these are just kind of going up and down, because I don't really want them to like go out in these weird directions like this. It just feels wrong. So let's do this. We can just do an attribute create. That's simple enough. We can just create an up vector. So we'll say up point. Let's see, the default we'll leave like that, and we'll just do it 0, 1, 0 like this. So that should now have created an up vector. Nope, it needs to be size 3 because it needs to be a actual vector. It's a point. It should be a vector. There we go. Sorry, 0, 1, 0. So now we have this up set and we have Y. So these are all facing up. If we visualize that, you can see that all those vectors point straight up. So now this noise, we can noise it instead of along N, we could noise it along up. And so now these are just going to kind of move in this direction only. And if we change the offset, we can get some different random results here. Let's not do it 0 centered. Let's only do it in the positive so that it won't. Well, I guess we could do, okay, so if we do it in positive, it's only going to go up from that position that we had it at, which is fine. We could just bring this height down a little bit like this here. We could do like 0.1. So now I have this short little thing and it's going to get this added to it. And now it's only going to be able to go up from there. So when we offset it, it's only going to be able to go around that. So that could work. But instead, I'm just thinking here, since we have it starting at, let's see, the height is at 1. If we take this mountain noise and change the amplitude down to 0.75, that'll make sure that it's not going to go, and changes to 0 centered. That's going to make sure that it's not going to go below that ever. So you can kind of think of it that way. And maybe we want to bring the element size down a little. So it's maybe like 0.5, something like that. So obviously the smaller the element size, the more the more that it's going to, each point is going to vary from each other. So if you have like a really big element size, they're all going to kind of move in conjunction with each other. So as we kind of move this around, you can see it's just kind of like a little, it's all kind of sloped together. And the further we turn this down, the more like ridges and things like that will be able to be made from point to point. The other thing we could do here too, and obviously this is kind of, I'm not going to spend too much more time on this, but the other thing we could do as well is we could do a, attribute randomize? That's what it is. I was just doing this the other day. So if we do an attribute randomize and change up, we could do this within a sphere. So what this is going to do is change all of those vectors within the sphere, right? And this is just kind of randomly doing it. But now what we could do here is we could change this to be within a certain cone angle and set a direction here. So this is just setting the value. What we could do is like add the value to it. So this is just going to add a little bit of value in there. So we could kind of give it a little extra angle. Now, technically you could probably just do this like that and that would be fine. The only thing is that this is, yeah, that should be fine. So now you could do this and you're going to get more or less a straight line, but it will go out a little bit. So as we adjust this cone angle, it allows it to stretch out just a little bit. So that might make a little bit more, it's like the 3D, it's like the 3D nerdy version of Breaking Bad. Yeah, I guess so. I'm going to say something that, I mean, maybe I'm going to lose viewers over this. I don't know. I've never seen Breaking Bad. And, you could hate me for that. I never was interested in watching it. I don't know why. I just never piqued my interest. So I just never got into it. Okay, cool. So there we go. We've got that going. So what I'm going to say here is we could... Oh, look at that. Liam didn't get past 3 episodes either. I'm not alone. Good. It was fun, KG, while it lasted. I mean, it was nice having you around. You know what? This is going to sound really silly, but the fact that it was like, there's like the drug aspect of it. Not that like, I don't know. I just couldn't get into it. It just like never, I was just like, I don't know, like drugs, like it's not my thing. I don't know. Anyways, that would be a great clip out of, hey, there we go. Frankie only saw 2 minutes of it. Yeah. See? Okay. I'm not in, I just thought I thought it was like mandatory that you watched that like at a certain point in time. So I just totally felt like I missed out on that. I also don't really like gangster movies either. I'm not a big fan of like sort of like having the heroes of the protagonists of a story be like in criminal activity. Like, I mean, I'm sure there's situations where that's not true, but for the most part, anyways, I'm getting into a whole movie theory thing. All right. So I think the easiest way to go about just making a few different ones of these really quickly is to just, I think we're just going to, procedural UV unwrapping the crystal. That would be a good idea. I was not thinking of that. And I was not even thinking about how that might look or work or anything. I mean, it's a great idea. That's a little, I have to say, texturing and rendering is not my thing. I'm just not good at it. But maybe we could give it, let's see how far we get. We'll maybe play with it and give it a shot later. But that's the nice thing is we can always feed a new, a new input geometry into this simulation into this animation down the road. All right. So let's just do this. And all right. I think the easiest way to do this will be just a for loop, not a for each loop, a for loop. And let's just say we'll make, 3 of them, I guess. Let's make like 5. Make 5 different little crystals. I don't know. And I think all we'll need is from here. And then if we put these guys inside of here, and I think it's merge. Yep, we want to change this to merge each iteration because we don't want to feedback. We want to merge it. So, sorry. Oh, it's that's going to be coming up in the new year. The little robot guy that's going to be animated. So I think in January that's going to be coming up. So whether it'll be the very first stream or the next one, I'll figure out kind of in the coming weeks, and I'll make sure that that's obvious on my like on social and on my calendars and things like that. But yeah, it's coming pretty soon. So I think it should be fun. I've already, like I said, I've already got some of the stuff done for it. But I'll kind of keep fleshing that out and come up with something a little bit more concrete for the new year. Okay, so this and this and that. Let me just see here what's going on. Okay, I think it should be merge each iteration. It doesn't seem to be doing what I'm expecting it to. Sorry. Okay, well let's continue with this here. So what I want to do is I want to create a metadata import node. We're going to use the iteration on this to drive some noise here. So all I need to do is go into the global seed here. I'm going to set up a detail expression. We're just going to look at that node. So we're going to go like this, and that is going to be repeat metadata. And then we'll do iteration. And then I think we just need an index, which is going to be 0. So that should work. And if we take this same expression and put that over here with our offset, that should offset it as well. I don't think there's actually no, I'm just going to change this to nope, never mind. Sorry, add is right. It's like set. Nope. Just I don't think there is anywhere else that I could do that. All right, so let's try that. Let's see here. 5. Oh, I have single pass on. Okay, cool. So if we do, let's see here. What can I do? If we look at each of these, I should just be able to do single pass and go like this. And those are going to be our different crystal shapes coming out here. So we've got one weird one like that, like that, like that. There we go. So we've got a few different crystal shapes. Cool. So those are going to be all of our crystals that we're going to bring out and put onto some geometry. So let's just create an output here, I guess. Could do a null as well. Just do an output this time because just in case this will always output. And I'll just say out crystals, and that should be good. That should give us some geometry to work with. We can always just kind of ramp this up and create more of them if we wanted to. Oh, that's interesting. Why are those going past? Huh. It's really weird. One of them is freaking out. Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe the auto UV would be the best way to do that. This is really strange. I don't know why that's looking like that. Am I looking at the wrong thing here? Maybe I'm missing something here. I don't know why that's... Yep, I'm definitely missing something here. What am I missing? The offset, element size. Maybe these are getting too big. Are these? Yep, that's what it is. Those are. Let's just change this to set value. Think that's going to be better. Maybe? Nope. Why are those? I feel like I'm missing something here. What am I missing? Okay, that must have been what it is. Okay, that's probably what it's actually doing now. Okay. So I think, yep, there we go. Okay, so what I had to do, sorry, that's right. Okay, so what I had to do is change this to not fetch the feedback, because then it was creating a feedback loop, and these were like taking the attributes and kind of continually adding and adding and adding, and that's why those these values were going crazy. And I'm like, what's going on there? So it was feeding it back, and that's why. So I'm just fetching the input each time and then running this and just doing it a certain number of times. So this way I can just I could make as many as I want. I could just kind of go crazy with it, and they're all going to be in that same area. So let's do 5 for right now. That's fine. We don't need to go too crazy. All right, all good. All right, on to the MOPs part of this. So we have these crystals. Let's do a geo here. Actually, I'm going to change the color of this to light green, because that's where we're kind of setting up some of our geo. We're going to say geo. We'll say MOP setup. And what I'm going to do first is just make sure that I've got this kind of set up the way I want it to. So I'm just going to grab a grid, and we're going to use that as kind of our geometry to, I'll just say template. This is going to be the geometry that we're going to work on top of. And so let's do an object merge. We'll get grid, get crystal geo, and we'll use that out crystals there. So this is going to bring our crystals in here. Let's do a MOPs instancer. We should be able to put these in here. Bum, bum, bum. And let's see here what we've got going on here. Yep. So let's do this. Let's do distribution. We're going to say on a mesh, the template object is going to be this, and they're all tilted down. So let's see here. There we go. There's our up vector. Cool. Why is this not seeing? Those different objects. Let's see here. So that doing what we're doing here. All right, let's do this. 250 scatter. I'm just going to it's interesting. Okay. Hey, Cheese Shake, welcome back. Um, I feel like I'm missing something. Why is this not... Why is this not grabbing those individual pieces? Oh, right. That's why. Thank you. Thank you, Henry. Sorry for a boneheaded mistake like that. Cool. What's the Right. So what we could do is, I think what he's saying is this. No. So I'd have to add a variant attribute in there. So if I did this here and did an add, or sorry, attribute create, just called this variant. This can be the same value there. So what we're doing now, what we can do here is create a variant attribute. This will output a different variant for each of these. I'm going to change this to an integer value. So now each of these should have their own variant number. So in this case, 0 to 4. So let's see if that works. Hopefully that should do it. Didn't like that. Okay. Oh, I see. This added something in here. Whoa. Hello. Oh, right. Got it. That's what you're going to do. All right. So yeah, we'll just do a copy to points. That's fine. All right. So let's do this. So instead of doing that, let's come back over here. I'm just going to undo a few steps here. Go back to this merge in here. Oh, that's fine. All right. I'm just going to add the merge back in. That's fine. We'll do an object merge if I can type. We'll say get crystal geo. Grab that same out crystals. Let's do a copy to points. So this is going to be the geometry that we're going to copy. We're going to take this grid here. We can just do a scatter on it. And we'll copy to those. Cool. And what we can do here is we can just change the piece attribute to variant and make sure that that is correct over here, because I think I actually changed this. This needs to be an integer attribute. Cool. There's our variant attribute. So then what we can do here is we can do, what is this, attribute, a prim attribute. Right. Thank you. Boy, and then we need to have these. So this is going to be attribute from pieces, and we can grab our point cloud, our geometry library. We're going to use variant. We could do something like this with noise. Yep, that's what I was going to do here. Interesting. Why is that? I've done this before. Huh. I don't know why that's not working. All right. That's fine. So we'll do variant, and we'll do, variant from a point attribute. Oh, they're all 0. Of course they're all 0. Why did, oh. That got deleted. That's the problem. It'd be nice if it was actually doing, no wonder I was like, why is this not doing anything? That's why it wasn't doing anything. So if I do this and do noise, and there you go, you're starting to get all of those in there. The other thing that you could actually do is attribute from pieces. That's what I like to use. So this is like this and like this. And if we use variant, should hopefully, there we go. So now this is going to randomly do it, and we can bring this down a little bit. Here, right? So now we've got all these shapes and things like that going, so that's cool. All right, now we've got random pieces here, and we should be able to visualize this a little bit differently here. Sorry about that, that got a little funky. Let's visualize the variant, and we can do that with a random from attribute variant. Huh, why is that not showing? There we go. So those are each of our different variants. And so we have here, okay, yeah. I was thinking we had more than 4. So I'm like, why do I see only a few colors here? Or more than 5. We have 5 colors here. I'm just losing it a little bit now that I've gotten all thrown off by that, but we should be good. All right, so we've got our variants here. That's cool. It's going to give us some stuff there to work with. We can also do, could use scatter and align instead. We could do this and should be able to do this as well. And then this way we could kind of randomly align these in some different ways. And then we could rotate these around the normal like this, have them be randomized. You could also do a, where is that? Cone angle. So you could do this and have a little bit of randomization for the cone that way. So that's kind of fun. All right. Anyways, that's all there. Cool. It's looking good. Now we've got some randomization there built in. I'm going to hide the other objects so we don't see that random chunk in the middle. And then we'll do a MOPs convert here. And this will convert those guys all into packed fragments now. So we won't see the color, but that's okay. We've got our packed fragments here. And now we can do some of that stuff, some of the standard stuff that we're used to with MOPs, right? So that's good. Let's just kind of play around with some stuff just to kind of get ourselves back in that kind of mindset of how this works. So if we do something like a shape fall off, a MOP shape fall off here, we have a linear fall off by default that we can obviously move around here. Now we're not going to be able to visualize that fall off right in this view here, but if we do the MOPs modifier, if we do a transform modifier after the case here, and have them scale down, right, to 0, for example. Oops. Now as we move this around, we can see that we can scale these up and down, right? So this is exactly what we'd expect to kind of happen here with this workflow. And they're all going to kind of randomly, scale up based on that. So this all seems to be working. We've got this setup going. So great. We're all good here. If you pack from the copy to points and then switch MOPs convert to pack prims mode, it'd be more efficient. Yes, right. So what Henry's saying is just to pack an instance here, and then change this over to packed primitives. And then the name prefix would be, do we have a name? We don't have a name. Oh, this is just, yeah, I think that's right, but I'm not sure. That's giving it a different piece for each of them. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. Well, that's great. Got that all set up there. Cool. Gotcha. All convert's doing is assigning a name and ID. Got it. Okay. So it's assigning a name for each of the pieces then. Got it. Okay, cool. So we've got all these little chunks and stuff like that, but let's instead, maybe make a little bit more interesting geometry here that we can, do something with, because I think having it like growing off some sort of like a tree or something might be more interesting. So let's maybe do that, where we have them all kind of growing off of something that's like a trunk or something like that. So let's do that. So, and then we'll play around with some other fall offs here when we get a little bit further on to it. Maybe we'll do some sort of a, like a growth kind of fall off thing along the surface. We'll play around with that a little bit later, but let's first, since we know that this is working now, let's first get some more interesting geometry in here. Let's just do a, let's do a curve. And let's do a Bezier curve, sorry. And let's turn the construction plane on for the y-axis here. Nope. Sure, that should be fine. So let's just take a look at this, and we'll just have this go maybe up like so. Maybe like that. I don't know, something like that. And I'm thinking what we could do is do a, there is actually a labs tree thing that we could maybe use to make it like an interesting little branch or something here. So tree trunk generator, cool, should work. So if we input that, cool, looking good so far. All right, so let's just take this, and I'm just going to modify this. I'm going to put this into edit mode. Just maybe modify this bottom part here so that it actually gets to a flat section there a little bit more. Cool. All right, so there's our crazy tree trunky type thing. And let's just maybe enable a little bit of, no, that's not what I want. The mesh noise, there we go. Just maybe turn that up a little bit like so. Cool. All right, let's try that. Let's see what that does for us. Here's the mesh output. We're going to scatter on that. Looks good. Looks like we're scattering properly here. Looks good. And we've got that. There we go. So I guess the one thing I need to do is make this a lot bigger. So I could just keep this and just scale it up. So I could just do a transform. This is like, needs to be way bigger. So let's just give that a solid, like, oops, like a factor of 10. No, that's too big. Let's just do a few then. Let's do like 3, something like that. And let's change the diameter of this a little bit. Let's see here, the radius of it. Just make this a little bit bigger. Yeah, something like that. Looking cool. Yeah, looks like it's working. All right, let's change the scatter a little bit here. Let's give it a little more, maybe a little more coverage. I like these little like antenna up at the top there. That's fun. All right, cool. So we've got some crystals kind of growing on the outside of this thing here. Let's play around with this a little bit more and see what we can get to work here. Let's do 10 on the coverage. And let's do... So instead of doing this with the shape fall off and the transform modifier, let's make a noise fall off, and we'll just randomly kind of assign some scales to these first. So let's do this, and let's do that first there, and let's see here. We'll do some. Actually, no, we don't even need to do that. We can just do a. Let's see, MOPs. Randomize, I think, is what we want. Yep, there we go. That's what we want. Sorry. So we're going to do a randomize here, and we can just randomize the uniform scale, and we'll do the minimum value to be somewhere like that. We'll make the maximum value a little bit more, like so. Maybe we'll turn this coverage down just a little bit, just to make sure we're not like overly colliding these all together. Cool. Let's do some other things here. So we've got that. Let's also just randomize the scale a little bit, and we can make some of these maybe be, oh, maybe we can't do this for, can you not do both of them together? Yeah, you can't at that point. Interesting. That is interesting. I think we also need to figure out, yep, so these are all scaling from their, they're all scaling from their centers, I believe, which I think is happening at this point here at our copy to points. Let's see here. If I go into wireframe mode, yeah, you can see there's the centroids of those, and I think I might be able to adjust that. I think there's a MOPs node that will do that as well. So I think if we go to pivot. See, the problem is they're all different. think, right? Yeah. But that would work. Oh, right here, pivot. There we go. That's what it is. Sorry. All good. All right. So now we're shifting those pivots from the origin instead. So now when we do the randomize, I see. So if we were going to do it, let's just see that there. We'll do pivot, MOPs pivot, line to B box. So if we did positive Y, it would actually go, yeah, it would go up to the top. Interesting. If you do it in local space, there we go. Okay. So it's got to be within local space and that would work. Cool. Yeah, that's fun. So either way, you could do it either way, but there we go. That adjusts the pivot. Let's turn that off. We don't need that because I could just do it when I actually made the instances up here. So that's good. So this is going to work. It's too bad that I can't do both of those at the same time. It's kind of a bummer. I kind of feel like that is going to work nicely. And then maybe I'll just do another randomize after. I think that should work as well. So I don't want these to go down in that scale. So I'm just going to change it like that. And the maximum value is going to be, well, that's interesting. Oh, right. I don't want the minimum to be 0. That's what it is. So I want the minimum to be maybe 0.5. Cool. Yep, that's looking good. Then I can throw another MOPS randomize down. I can change these to uniform scale maybe and just give it the ability to make them thicker or thinner. Maybe actually, you know what? Maybe instead of this, I'll just do another scale and instead here, they'll just stay the same. No, I could do that all in one. Sorry. This is what I get for doing this all live. I've got to think on my toes a little here. So if I do that and oops, maybe I'll do 1.5 in each axis, if something like that. Cool. All right. So now we've got some different lengths and thicknesses and things like that. So I guess the only thing that could possibly you might want to be a little different is, like in this case, maybe setting them all to one like this might be better because then we can randomize the other parts separately. So if we do this and then pull another one out, set these to 1, and then adjust these here, we can then change the seed for that. And those can both be done as separate like functions basically. So what we're doing here, I'm just gonna get rid of those for a second. So we've got this, we'll say random length, and we'll say here MOPS random diameter. So here we could probably actually go down a little to 0.5 and then go up to 1.5 maybe. So if we have these 0.5 to 1.5, it'll make some thinner, some thicker. It'll make all sorts of kind of random shapes and it'll allow for some interesting kind of variations for them. And we can change this seed so that it's not going to be the exact same as the, you know, the length scale. So it'll kind of all be separate a little bit here. Maybe 1.75. I would like some of them to be a little thicker. Cool. So now we've got some super random stuff going on there. I'm going to take this out of wireframe mode. I'm going to turn off the construction plane. So now we've got these crystals that are kind of growing up here. I think what I'm going to do next is I want to randomly have some of these that are going to like kind of burst into like a fluid simulation at some point. So they'll kind of pop and then, come down, they'll turn into a fluid simulation, right? So I'm thinking we probably want to just randomize that as well. So let's do that. I'm just trying to think of the way that I'd want to do that. So let's do a fall off, and we want to do a noise fall off. And oops, what's going on there? Why is that? Oh, because the transform modifier. All right, so let's do a noise fall off, and we'll say we can say something like we'll say like fluid fall off. And what we could do is like remap this, right? And just set it so that there's going to be some that are 0 and a bunch that are 1, right? And so let's see here. I'm going to do simplex. I think that'll have more of them. That will get into that range. So basically we just need to make sure that we actually have some that are going to be going into that range, right? So wherever they're 1, we're going to use that, right? Those are going to be ones that are completely in. And then we can just have the other ones be off, basically. We could do this as, we could do these as constant as well. So that would either be 1 or 0. So now we can just kind of create, we don't even need to have this one here. We could just, oh wait, yeah, we do, sorry. That, and then we can just move this around based on where we want that kind of threshold to be, where they'll be either 1 or 0. So with this constant fall off, we can do that, or this constant remap, we can use the noise and kind of randomly have some that are going to be, assigned for that. And we could just look at that real quick here and say, we could just look at the ones that are with that. We can say, instead of MOPs fall off, we'll look at the fluid fall off, and we'll set those. No, I didn't see a showreel that ILM dropped about 20 hours ago. That sounds fun. You should link that over in the general on the Discord. That'd be cool to see. I'd love to see it. I'm sure it'll be on some other stuff. Cool. So anyways, we have some of these here that you can see that some of those are going to, basically disappear. And we can see that these are going to be the ones that are going to turn into fluid. If we see those, like, I guess just wireframe those like that and see that there are some that are the ones that are disappearing here are going to be the ones that are going to turn into fluid. Because we can't visualize this because they're packed. Oh, they are packed geos. Can we visualize this? We might be able to. Yeah, we can. I forgot. We went back over to, I think, right? These are packed geos. They're not packed fragments. Yeah, there we go. Okay. That's easier. We don't have to worry about that. Cool. Let's go back to that, turn that off. All right, so we can actually just visualize this fall off because originally we were doing packed fragments and that won't work with this. So this way, this should work just fine. We can actually visualize the ones that are not going to be in this setup here. The ones that are white are going to be the ones that are active. The blue are going to be inactive. So we could also change this to be like the infrared setup. That's like typical with Houdini. So you can see the red ones are going to be the ones that are going to turn over to fluid. So let's go back to let's see here. Where was it? This one. and we go to the remap, and we can just kind of tweak this. We can change the number of them that are going to do that. So that's cool. And we could kind of play around with this here, the frequency and amplitude. Obviously you could turn the frequency down and it would be like larger chunks that would kind of all be worked together like this. And you can kind of play around with this and get different sections. That's weird. Why is that looking like that? There we go. So anyways, we could do this a few different ways. I'm gonna just have it be a bit more random. Just gonna reset that. Something like that. It's pretty standard. Cool. Great. All right, so we've got a few of those set up, so that's good. I think what we're going to do next is let's do maybe like a little some sort of like a growth fall off type thing, or a growth fall off that's going to go yeah, I mean, ILM, yeah, they've definitely worked in every project. I mean, they kind of invented VFX in a weird way, right? I mean, like they kind of invented modern VFX. So yeah, they've been involved in a lot of stuff. Yeah. Yep, they've been involved in just about everything. All right. So, let's do a fall off. The one that we want to do, I think, is going to be I think there's two different ones. I think there's an infection fall off, and there is a spread fall off. I think this one is going to be a bit more basic, if I remember correctly. So let's do this. Let's preview that fall off. And we could select some starting points here. Maybe one, I don't know, something like that. Let's just do those. And yep. So this is going to be just a very basic, kind of spreading fall off. And so let's take a look at what this looks like. So here, we need to remap this, right? So let's do that. We'll remap this. We'll fit this to be 1 and 0, so that basically this is just inverting that fall off, so that it starts, these scaled down and then goes so that they're full size. Because here we're only scaling it down. We wouldn't want to be, you couldn't really figure out the other, like you can't scale it up, right? So we're going to scale it down and then just reverse the fall off that way. So this is going to be the spread fall off here. And if we go back to the animate, we can see that we can animate this spread fall off, and those are all going to grow out like so. And what we might want to do here is remap this a little bit and smooth this out. So if we take these and change them to be monotone cubic, that'll probably look a little better. So let's do that. Let's do, let's maybe start at 6. We'll go up, I don't know, 60, sure. We'll kind of get this to its finished position here. We'll just animate this until it's fully done, something like that maybe. And so now we should have, turn these points references off, should have a growing kind of simulation like so. I'm going to turn this down a little bit just to be like 96 frames, something like that. And there we go. We've got a little animation in where they're kind of ramping up. Cool. So that is sort of doing the more basic setup with the spread fall off. That's with the standard MOPs tools. We could also apply a little bit of noise to this. Let's just see how that's going to work. Yep. So you can see that that's just kind of adding in a little bit of extra random noise there. If we didn't do that and just looked at it as so, you can see that that's just going to kind of create this really linear sort of fall off around those points. But if we apply the noise here, it's going to randomly, it's going to randomly add a little bit of variation around those as they're kind of scaling up. So this is starting to get us somewhere. Let's take a look at, the other one. MOPs, is it infection? I think this should work as well. But this is a solver, so this can be, and this one's only going to work on input polygons, so we would have to do this actually on this geometry up here. So this, I think this we'll probably just skip this, because this we'd have to do up on this mesh, and it would solve on this mesh input. I don't think it's going to want to take in, because I think it's looking at the connectivity of this and spreading along that. So anyways, yeah, because all right, we'll skip that one for right now. I think this will do just fine for our needs here. So let's do this. So there we go. We've got some random scaling of these weird crystally things. Let's do a little bit of I think if we do the spring modifier, that will work as well. I think that's going to make these, I just want to do it on the scale. So let's just see here. Yeah, I just want a little bit on there. So, oh, you know what? Is there another one too? I was thinking there might be another one that's just, it might be the delay one. No, that's not what I wanted. That's just a simple delay. All right, so let's do this, and sorry, I just wanted to have like a little springiness to it. That's too much. There we go. Yeah, that's looking fun. Cool. All right, maybe I'm going to just extend this fall off just a little bit. And we'll bring this up to like 120. Just going to play around with some of these properties here. I just want to, that's too much. Let's see here. Yeah, I had it somewhere good, and now I'm messing it up, going too far. Okay, I think that's looking good. Yeah, just a little something, give it a little extra flair. Okay, so we have the fall off here. Let's now take. There was something I noticed here: trigger fall off. And this is going to trigger when the threshold is crossed. So I think what I want to do here is when these hit 0, I want to trigger. And then that'll randomly give us a certain amount of time to elapse afterwards. So I'm going to do the threshold here and say, we'll say less than just a little tiny bit here. So maybe less than 0.01, something like that. Just really low, because they're all going to go to 0. So it's totally fine. So let's try this. I think this is going to be the attribute to write to. So we'll say MOPs trigger. We'll let that be the new one here. Let's just see what happens. I think this should work. And let's see. Yep, definitely worked. So what you can see here is that it's let's see here. It's triggering once these get to 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this other one from previewing. Sorry. Was it up here? Yep. I think that's writing the colors right now. So yeah, so it's starting at 0, and once it hits, or it's starting, scaled down. Once it hits fully scaled, there's going to be this trigger that starts. And so I think that'll just be nice to give it a little delay here, so the trigger will go from start at 1. You can see here this one's triggered, and it's going to hold the pre-trigger value of 1, I think would make sense. So there we go. Now this is going to look right, and it's going to go like that, and it's going to slowly ramp down after it's triggered. So pre-trigger, then it starts to trigger there. And you can see how there's this fall off happening. So I don't want it to be 48 frames, maybe only like 12 frames or something after it triggers. So there we go. Could we add some is there randomness that we could add into this here? No, it does not look like there's randomness built into that, but I'm just trying to think if there's a way to randomize that anymore. No worries for interrupting. I'm just thinking. So the question is there any recommended educational course for solid basic knowledge in Houdini? There's quite a few places that you could go to. I mean, there is certainly a foundationals learning path on sideeffects.com. So if you go to sideeffects.com, go to learn, and I believe there's a getting started or start here button. Click that. There's a whole bunch of different stuff that can kind of get you rolling. There's a foundations course. There's also been a whole kind of ongoing piece by the guys from 9 Between, Houdini as hip, which is like kind of meant for the beginner to kind of get off and rolling with Houdini. So that certainly might be something to take a look at as well. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I would like recommend as just like across the board. I know that I think CG Forge has some pretty in-depth beginner course as well. So that might be worth looking into. I know Tyler is a great educator as well. Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I would like just recommend off the top of my head. But yeah, there's a lot of great content out there. Definitely if you look at our kind of getting started content on Houdini or on sideeffects.com, that's a great place to look for a bunch of kind of curated content there from, the marketing team at Side Effects. Anyways, all right. So we've got these two attributes, right? So we've got this trigger fall off here. Oh, Mark Fancher. Yeah. Mark Fancher's YouTube as well. Yeah. Mark Fancher's stuff is great. I feel like he does a lot of, I don't remember all of his stuff that he's done, like all the different, course type stuff, but he's done a ton of really great work with, the Vellum tool set in general. But yeah, his stuff is amazing as well. Wasn't thinking of Mark's. I, for some reason, forgot that. But yeah, his stuff is great. All right. So what I want to do here is when the MOPs trigger and the MOPs and the fluid fall off, when these hit their required values, then we're basically going to, create some sort of a group or something like that will remove those pieces from this simulation and basically split those over to emit some fluid or whatever. So I think we're getting close to that. I can't think of any other way that's going to really create a lot more noise in this. Maybe the best way to do that would just be to put a little more noise into this here. Yeah. All right. That's looking pretty cool. You can obviously change whichever points are going to be the starting kind of seed points for this. And you'll have to kind of play around with that and some of the attributes and values and things like that. You'd have to change that in this spread animation here a little bit, but, that's all starting to work and look good. So I think that's pretty good. So yeah, the nice thing about this is that this is going to give us, the ability to set a time range after these grow to full scale to be able to like delay them from changing. So it doesn't just grow and then, disappear or whatever at that point. So, let's try that real quick. All right. So we've got, I did a whole bunch of mop stuff here. So that's kind of fun. We got some cool animation going. Hopefully this is all making sense. If you have any questions about it, please drop them in the chat as per usual. I'm just going to highlight these and layout, distribute nodes vertically. That's what I want. There we go. I just wanted to organize them. Okay, cool. So let's do this. I'm also going to output these attributes, I think. So let's see. Let's just see what that says here. I just want to see how these are calculated, what we get out of it, because I think we can use these as well to make sure they don't stick around for much longer. So let me just see what these values are. Trigger time. Cool. That's fun. And then we should also have elapsed. Cool. And that just keeps counting. So what I'm going to do is a couple different things here. So we know that we have 3 factors that are going to control whether or not we want these to switch over, right? We've got this fluid fall off that's going to tell us whether or not they can turn into fluid. We have this MOPs trigger here that when it hits 0, we've given them enough time to kind of sit around, give them these 12 frames here. And so that MOPs trigger should be at 0 when these have been alive for 12 frames. So you can see right here, elapsed is 12. These are 0, so that one should go down. Yep, so now it's 11. And so as the trigger hits 0 and the elapsed time is 12, we know that is, that is the time for those to go. And what we can do as well is that if this condition here, this fluid fall off, and the MOPs trigger are both at the values that we're looking for, we can then look at this elapsed and see if that's over. Cool. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, CG Forge has some cool stuff for sure. Yeah, hope you enjoy it. So if this elapsed value is at 13, we know we can get rid of that because it's already gone 1 frame past where we're going to transition it, and then we can remove it from the sim or from the system. You'll see in a second kind of what I'm talking about. But so what I'm going to use is, let's see here. Why don't we make a group that can look at both of those? So let me see here. Can we do a combine? I think there's a combine fall offs. Yep. Oh no, I was thinking this differently. I was thinking that could merge them together, like multiple ones, and like look at, yeah, I was thinking of that differently. That's okay. Let me just make sure I'm not missing something here. Nope. That looks good. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just make a group. I think this is the easiest way to see this. So let's just do this. We'll make a group and we will give it a couple of, factors to look for. So we'll say the base group is created by, well, let's just first start off and say that fluid fall off is equal to 1. So we'll just say that at fluid fall off is equal to 1. I think that should work. And there should be points. There we go. All right. So those are the points in our overall system here where we should have those active. So that's working. Now, the other thing that we're going to want to do is say MOPs trigger is equal to 0. So what we'll do is do 2 ands. We'll say at MOPs fall off is equal to 0. And oh, sorry, MOPs trigger, not fall off. Trigger. That does not seem to be working right. Why is that not working right? I'm just going to call this group source. Why is that not working right? What did I write wrong there? Let me just make sure I'm not missing something there. Yeah, that group's working. Oh, that's so... No, that's not it. What? I'm officially confused there. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing, Henry. I'm really surprised. This seems so simple that I'm surprised that it's not working. I must be just missing something there. Yeah, group expression could work, or I could use a group combine, I want to say. That should work, I think. Let's try this. Source equals... Let's see if this works. I don't know if this will work actually, but we'll see. Or Vex. Ooh, scary Vex. Let's see. Can I do that? There we go. That might be doing something. No. Yep. All right. Let's see here. Group. Thanks. Thank you, Henry. Yeah, I'll just do that. That's easy enough. Let's see. So point wrangle. Thank you for typing that in there. You saved me a little time. Thank you, sir. So all we need is this little bit of X to do this. This should work. I'm just going to clean this up a little bit here just so we can see it a little bit better. So what this is saying is if the MOPs trigger is equal to 1 and the fluid fall off is equal to 0, we're going to create group source equals 1, like that. And what we should see here is, let's set this to wireframe. I wonder if I can check out the points here. Here's our source points. I'm just going to change these to red and see what the heck is going on here. I think that's the opposite. MOPs trigger is equal to 0. Fluid fall off is equal to 1. Yep. Thank you. You were very close, Henry. Thank you. All right. So that should be it. So now we should, when they... Yep. There we go. Bloop, bloop, bloop. They're going to go just like that. Cool. All right. So that's great. That should be working. All right. So now we've got our geometry coming out like so, like that. Also going to turn off the preview fall off just so we can see this a little bit better, like that, without the colors. Cool. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a split here. And then this way I can just take that group source and that'll go through one of these branches, and that'll kind of go into the whole next step here. So those are the ones that are going to source. And if we look here from our fluid fall off, if we preview that, they should be the same one. So if we do this and then go to the end here, all the red ones should stick around, and they do. So that's cool. So that's working. Everything's coming through, looking good. And those will only show up once they've grown to their full size and had 12 seconds elapsed. There you go. They all come in like that. So now what we actually need this to do as well is to say, we can just remove these. We can just do a blast here. And we'll say points and delete non-selected. So if the elapsed is greater than 12, we should be able to just remove them because they should show up at 12. They'll source then, and then at 13 they'll get removed. So what we'll do is we'll just say at elapsed is greater than 12. That's just what it is right now. We could, instead of hard coding that, we could look at the end of this trigger fall off right here. We could, can we copy and paste this relative parameter here? Yeah, that should work. So now that those are linked together, so this is delete the non-selected. Instead, if we do this, we'll just see them pop in for a frame like that. And that can source fluid into the simulation based on those. So we're only getting one frame of those, and one basically then they're deleted after that. So let's just look at what's happening here. In fact, I might want to just invert the selection so that it's coming out of the second input. Just might be a little easier to see. Then we can merge those together after the fact. And this is just to visualize it. We're going to change this in a second here. And there we go. So those are going to bloop, 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 delete out like so. And those are going to be the ones that I'm going to turn into some fluid or whatever. And obviously we could adjust that by changing this noise fall off here. So if we change this and remap this, let's just preview this again. Come back up here. And if we give it a little bit more like so, we got more that are going in there. Now when we come down here and play this, we'll see that more of those are going to be brought out and into the simulation basically. So we're going to source those in for one frame. So you can see over here that those are the frames that those are all going to come in. Now it's too much. I don't need to have that many, but hopefully that's making some sense as to what it's going to do. You'll see in a second what, a little bit clearer what this is going to do. So let's turn that back down a little bit like so. Yeah, that could be cool. Okay, so all right, so now let's play around with a little bit of the fluid simulation here that we're going to do. So I think all we're going to really need to do is do a, actually, it's a flip dop source. So this is the old style sourcing, and I'm just going to do it this way. Just, should I do it this way? Let's try it with the stop fluids. It might work. Should work. Just thinking. Yeah, it should work. Let's give it a shot. Why not? Okay, so let's do this. We're gonna say output here. We're gonna say out solid crystals. So that's what's gonna come out on this port here. So these are the ones that are solid. They have not transferred yet. And so something to keep in mind here is that if we're using this as a collider, this is going to be important because the one thing that we'll have to kind of keep in mind here, I'm going to turn this preview fall off, is that while these are still growing like this, they should be solid and collide with our fluid. But then once they turn into the fluid, they have to be removed from our collider, for example. So that should work just fine. And we can just remove those out as they source in as fluid. So that should be cool. Maybe we'll do like a viscousy thing or something like that. That could be kind of fun. So let's see how this will work here. So that's our solid crystals. Let's also do this as well. So I'm going to change this and actually put this no, I guess that's fine. We can just I'll just do this. I'm going to put a null here. I'm going to say, I'll call this like branch or like something like that, like branch. We'll reference that somewhere else if we need to be able to see it. Yeah, we can merge those together then for like a collider or whatever. So that's cool. And then here we'll just do a null. And these are going to be our, we'll say out fluid crystals. Say that. And so these, again, are just going to be those individual bloop, 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 like those as they get sourced in, right? So that's cool. That should work. Color that one green. Color that one green. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Any questions, any thoughts, any comments, anything like that at all? Just curious. Let me know if you got any questions or comments. Happy to have any feedback possibly. Thank you, Henry, as always, for your help. Appreciate that. Nice to have somebody have my back during this. That's very nice. Let's see, Geo. I'm going to call this sim. That. Let's do. I've been doing some SOP based flip recently, so let's see if I understand it. Hopefully, I do. Oh gosh, it'd be bad if I just totally screw this up. All right, so we're gonna do a flip container here. Let's give it the bounds of the branch. So let's do that. Let's do get geo. It's an object merge. I just usually call it get whatever. So let's say get tree branch. We'll just grab that because that's a stationary thing. Get the branch. There we go. And we don't want to use, let's see here. We don't want to use this because this is going to actually create our domain in the shape of that branch, which is like a, it's creating a convex hull around it. So instead of that, let's make a bound here. And then that way we can pad it a little bit as well. So here's a bound. Let's give this a little bit of extra padding here. So maybe we'll do like, let's see where this is. Oh yeah, that's too much. And we'll do like 4 on those. Oh yeah, 4 here. Probably doesn't even need to be this high. 4 and 4. Then we'll just give it a little bit on the upper Y, like that, just to make sure that we're good. And let's give it just a little bit lower, just to make sure that it has the room to calculate the ground plane properly. So there we go. We've got a little boundary around it. Cool. Then we create our flip container. That's great. Yeah, we want to do implicit bounds. If we're not doing implicit bounds, it's basically making a VDB of it in this case. And that was why that if we had this off, it wasn't doing anything because it's just a surface and it can't really make a VDB of that nothing. So if we had capped it, we could make a VDB of it. But anyways, sorry, implicit bounds off. Cool. Let's do a flip. Source instant, I think. That should be good. And we're just going to wire these 3 in. And this is going to be our tree branch here. Cool. And then let's say object merge. We're going to merge in, say get liquid crystals. It's kind of funny because it's like an LCD, liquid crystal display. Liquid crystals. So this would be fluid crystals. Actually, I could just call it the same thing so we're consistent. Fluid. Yep. Fluid crystals. Cool. All right, let's just make sure that this is going to work here. I think we should. Yep. Got those sourcing in. Cool. Yeah, that looks all right. Looks like we're getting those sources in. Cool. Now, I think what I'm going to want to do is add maybe some random velocity to these. So we might unpack these and add some velocities to the points maybe. We'll see. We'll see what we get with that. But let's just first get something going here and then we'll go from there. Let's do a flip solver here. And this should, oh, yep, I'm on frame 45, which there's not much going on in there, which is cool. All right, so let's just see what happens here as this goes. I mean, hey, it's sort of working. I mean, we don't have much fluid going on here, but we're getting stuff going. The particle size is way too small, but things are happening, so that's cool. Let's also, what did I just do here? There we go. So we're also going to do some collision. Oh yeah, we'll just change this. So this is kind of the nice thing about how this works is that you get to do this kind of in any order you want to. I think it should, yeah, it should work the same. So if we do a flip collide here, get our tree branch. We could also say, could object merge in get, I don't remember what I called those. What'd I call them? Solid crystals. Cool. We'll merge these together. This I should probably need to do a polyfill on it. Yep. So let's do that. Polyfill. And let's just do triangles. Let's do a triangle fan. That just feels a little cleaner. Cool. We've got grid down there. We don't need to deform that. All right. So now we're going to have our solid crystals coming in here. And, oh no, I have to actually tell it to get those. Out solid crystals. There we go. And those are all going to merge together. So we're going to have those like that. Cool. That all looks good. I think I can turn off surface collide here because we have all solid geometry, so that should work good. We don't need to worry about that. So let's try that. We should see this being built, so that's good. Then I think, yep, it's working. It's a little weird, but it's working. So the problem here is that the mesh is too low. So what we need to do is change some of these fluid container settings. So we're going to take our grid scale, maybe go down a little bit with it. Yeah, that's working a little better. And let's also change the particle separation, maybe 0.08 for right now. Yeah, we'll have to see. That's looking like that's getting most of the details there. Might be a little hard to see on the stream, but we're getting most of the details in here for those points and pieces and stuff. These edges are a little funky, but I think that'll do pretty well. This flip source looks, actually that we should see as well, should actually be a little sharper here as well. So there is the pieces. And if we change our flip container settings, I think that, yep, that'll adjust the particle separation and then the grid scale as well. So maybe we'll do that and 0.8 maybe. How many? Does that say anything? No, it's not telling us the actual particle count yet. Okay. So what this is doing here too, just to clarify for everybody, each of these streams is going to be a different kind of piece of geometry that the solver is going to. Hi, Bulgarian mapping. What is this? This is we're learning about Houdini and learning about working with fluid. We're doing some crystal growth, and then we're going to change some of these little crystals into a fluid simulation. So yeah, this is Houdini, side effects Houdini training, basically. So welcome to the stream. Hopefully that's interesting to you. If not, hey, I don't know how you found us, but cool. Welcome anyways. All right, so let's take a look. Okay, so what I was talking about is this first is going to be the sources stream. You can see here there's a bunch of surface information, velocity, source, volumes. These are all being created. Those are the sources. The next one is actually the container information. And this is going to give us the actual data that's going to tell the solver where the container that we're working on is. Things like the fluid settings and grid scale, particle separation, things like that. And then this last stream is going to be all the collision data. So this is going to be the velocity and surface for the collisions. So that's why there's these three streams that kind of go all the way down. This fourth input usually is where you source in data. And here we're sourcing collision geometry. Here we're bringing in source data for our flip. This down here is actually boundary flow. The boundary flow is actually how you would like up-res fluid simulations or like have guided waves and things like that, but that won't really come into play in this situation. All right, so let's see what's going on here. We'll see if we've got this working properly. So we've got our collisions growing. That's cool. I see some fluid coming in here. So let's see here. I'm going to turn off the collisions. I'm not going to visualize these as spheres either. And let's see what happens here. I don't know what's going to happen. What are these colliding with? They're like really active. What are they colliding with here? Huh. They're very active. Is it these? They must be growing outwards and colliding with it, I guess. Oh, you know what? I'm going to uncheck compute velocity on that because I feel like we don't really want it to compute a lot of velocity. I don't know. That just seems like that might be what's causing the issue here. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Yep. Now that seems to be a lot more stable. Cool. All right. The other thing I want to add in is a ground plane because every good simulation needs a ground plane. So let's do ground plane here. You can see that adds it in. Cool. Maybe we'll just raise that up just a touch. Yeah, maybe 0.1 just so that it's not fully in the ground. Collision, we could probably set it to move outside collision because we're only using volumetric collisions. So let's see how that works. Okay, this is a little hard to visualize with all this purple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo this show collision and I'm going to template that. a control click templating that, and that will actually create this as solid geometry so we can maybe see this a little bit easier as everything kind of grows here. And then some of these are going to change into their fluid representation and start simming here. I like what that's doing over there. Let's see what that looks like in actual real time, or not real time, but playing back in a sort of reasonable speed. Cool. All right, we're getting somewhere here. Maybe what we want to do now is up the viscosity a little bit, because I think that could be fun. So a little different than how normal flip would work. You actually adjust your viscosity on the container here, up a little higher. So we'll turn the viscosity on, I don't know, 100 maybe. We definitely want it to slip on the collision. We don't want it to get like stuck too much. Let's try that. Let's see how that works. So, I mean, I think flip is always going to be a little bit, it's always slower than you want it to be, I think. I wouldn't say that it's like super bad. I think what I'm doing, that's actually really fun looking. It's like streaming down. Oh, that's super fun. I think I want it to slip a little bit more, but that's looking kind of really cool. It's creating these like stringy weird things. Oh, that's so bizarre looking. Okay, that's looking really fun. All right, I'm going to minimize this because I think we've got the attributes figured out. Let's look at this a little better. So we've got this crazy like stringy fluid falling here. I kind of wonder if I just take this output here, if this will be any faster. Oh yeah, way faster. Okay, so I'll tell you why I just did that and why I was thinking this might be faster. So just like I was talking about here with these streams of data coming through, we have this collision, right? The collision is coming through all the time, right? And so when you're on this node, it is inherently always trying to like calculate that the collision field in the background. Now, if you come down here and look at these outputs, the first one is the fluid particles, second one is the container, third is the collisions. So I have a feeling if we look at the collisions, that's going to be relatively slow because it's calculating all these collisions, right? All the time. Now, another thing that you could do is you could file cache. Let's just see if this helps at all. This might help, might not. I might be totally off base with this, but this is just a guess. Never really tried this before. But let's see if we did this and called this collision cache. And I'm just going to name this sim, hip sim. And let's save that to disk. I'm not going to talk a lot because I have a feeling this is going to freak out my computer. Okay. Those like big VDB things will make my voice get all robot-y. All right, let's see if this goes any faster. I kind of think it might. No, not really. Let's see. Does this play back any faster? Oh yeah, that plays back way faster. Oh wait, sorry. I'm not on the right one. Yep, that plays back way faster. Cool. So just like I was thinking, if you cache this VDB here, and then you're looking at these down at this point, yep, this will play back way faster. So really, your big slowdown there is going to be the collision calculation, right? That's one of the biggest, I guess, kind of bottlenecks of this whole process, is that building that VDB collision, each frame, it always is having to do that, right? And it's not a fast process. So that'll help with things a little bit here as well. Because before, when I was playing this back after I cached it, like, yeah, you're doing 1 frame a second, right? It's calculating everything. But then when you go back to play it, now we're playing at 24 frames a second, and there's no slowdowns at all. So it's like super performant now. So it's just a different way of working. I think it's definitely going to be slower, but I think if you know some of the gotchas and caveats there to like think about how you're working, I think you can have a better time overall. I'm really excited to have a new computer at some point, because then I'm not streaming and simming on this thing, and it won't do this weird audio stuff, which it probably is doing again right now. And so I'm really excited about that. This is looking fun. I kind of think I want to do some more particles here, like a little bit higher density, not a ton, but a little. Maybe 6. Maybe we'll just substeps for VDB collisions are needed also. Maybe, yeah, maybe you'd want to. You could probably add substeps in there if you wanted to. I'm trying to think if that would even. I mean, it's probably not a bad idea. Audio's good. Okay, cool. As long as it's not like, I just hate it. It gets all freaked out when like uses all my processor or whatever. I've been meaning to go in and tweak some settings there, and I always forget. So, yeah, you could possibly do that. I'm trying to, oops. Stop. Make sure this is good. Forgot to autosave that. What is my setup here? Yeah, so it can go up to 2 substeps. So it might not be the worst thing in the world to add a substep in there. I don't know if it would. I don't know if that would completely matter or not. I mean, it's probably a good idea. Excuse me for yawning. Now you'll all be yawning. Okay, let me just want to see if yeah, it's considerably higher quality, so I'll just save that to disk. Yeah, we can do a substep in there. Why the heck not, right? Oh, that's interesting. That completely changes the naming of it. Fascinating. I did not know that. I don't often do that. All right, yeah, let's do substeps just for kicks. Yeah, Andy, I think you're right, but let's just try it. We'll try it for kicks anyways. Obviously, since we're only playing back on integer frames, we won't really see those substeps. But if you turned on fractional frames, you would see that. So I'll do that in a second here. So this is fractional frames. So if we scroll through here, we should see, yep. There you can see the popping. So it'll pop twice a frame now. So yeah, I think if you see actual, like Andy was saying, if you actually see visual artifacts, that would be part of it. It's kind of, yeah, whatever whatever's working for you. You know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to add a little bit more in here. I want to have a little bit more. So this is the nice thing about how this is all going to work, right? Is that this is all now procedural. We're using MOPs to kind of control this whole procedural setup. And so if I want to come back in here and change, let's see here. I'm just going to say fluid. I'll call this fluid threshold. And if I want to change this fluid threshold, for example, and preview this, I can. And I can just add some more in there. So maybe want a few more that are going to turn into fluid. Cool. Yeah, great. So now those are all going to be in there. Now, something to keep in mind, you do have to resave this to disk because that's going to change which ones are going to be solid at which frame and things like that. So you have to be careful to update those things. If you do have file caches before simulation, so keep that in mind. You know, it's going to help when you're simming over and over. It's going to save you that little fraction of a frame every time you simulate it and kind of iterate and iterate. So hopefully that is just a little extra tip. Almost there. And done. Cool. All right, great. So now we should see those sourcing in there. Cool. Oh, right. We're in fractional frame still. There's those that get sourced in. Cool. I do want to turn off that visualization though. We don't need to see that. Just kind of feels like it gets a little distracting. All right, so let's go back into this simulation here and let's see what happens. It's going to take a little longer because we have more particles here. So let's see what happens. Oh, you know what? First frame. I could just probably do 30 as the start frame, so then we don't have to, doesn't have to calculate up to that point. Let's do that. We'll let this crank along and do its thing. Actually, I'm going to do a camera here just so we can get a shot of this. Let's see here. Oh, about cache is okay. So the question is SSD or NVMe required, or is hard disk okay for cache? You're definitely going to see a much better result if you're using some solid states or higher, performance. You're definitely going to see a benefit there. If you're dealing with for this is from my experience, if you're dealing with or for actual hard drives, you'd probably want some sort of like a reasonable performance RAID that you might be saving it onto, just obviously for the size of it. That's one thing that's really going to be beneficial, but then you'll also have the speed as well. The benefit with the solid state or NVMe is that it's going to have really high read and write, which is going to be helpful. So it's not a requirement, but really if caching is really to help with a couple things, right? It's to save time, but saving time by not having to calculate that data every time you iterate. But if instead of having to calculate the data, you have to read the data and that takes equally as long, yeah, then you're really not saving yourself any time in your simulations. So you kind of have to see what your setup is. I can't say here's a blanket statement, but I'm using spinning disks, but they're an RAID array. So I have a 12 terabyte RAID array in my computer. I mean, I built this before the pandemic. So at that point, it really didn't make a ton of sense to do NVMEs and stuff like that. But at this point, I probably would have. So, take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, they'll all sort of work. Let me just do another geo node here, and I'm just going to call this render tree just so we can see it. I'm just going to object merge. Actually, I can just grab it from over here. Just going to grab this tree branch. And there we go. There's our tree, just so we can use this to frame it up a little bit here for a little playback. There you go. That's a nice setup, Black Voxels. That's a slick setup. That's probably similar to what I would do. In fact, I don't have my my operating system in a RAID. Is your operating system in RAID 0? Is that what you have it in, or is it RAID 1? Like, how do you have that set up? I'm curious. So I'd be nervous to have my operating system on a RAID. That's just me. Just because it's like more prone to an issue if anything. It's like a failure if anything happens to either of them. So you have to be really. Oh, 0 for both of them. Wow. Okay. I mean, hey, that's cool. I mean, I guess you don't have spinning discs, so that's a little different. I've never tried that. That's interesting. Maybe I'm just, gosh, am I just old? Am I just old and haven't gotten on the new hotness? Anyways, sorry. All right, let's just let's do a little playback here. I'm just going to make another thing over here. It's going to be render crystals. These will be red for rendering. So it makes it go faster because red is faster. Here's our solid crystals. And it's going to go in here. Okay. Cool. All right, let's get a little flip book going here. All right, getting some viscous fluids going here and letting these like pieces like pop over into a. So hopefully you can see here that we're getting these crystals all growing in, and then at a certain frame they go boop and they transform over into a fluid. Obviously, that's extremely jarring right now because it's going from white to blue, right? But I think you can get the picture, get the kind of gist of what's going on here. And I think the viscosity stuff is fun. I always like that with Flip. It's just fun to do viscous stuff because it's all like sticky and gooey and weird. Pretty fun. Looks like we're getting a pretty good result there. I mean, obviously you can get higher and higher quality based on, tweaking those settings for, the particle separation. If you need better collisions and fields like that within the actual simulation, upping the grids or lowering the grid size is going to help with that. It's going to reduce the amount in between, it's going to change the voxel size, the voxel scale. So yeah, hopefully this was kind of interesting to see how this goes. It's the actual MOP stuff is really helpful to kind of drive a lot of these different properties that we use to then just swap this over into a fluid simulation. The one part of this that oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, we should have some velocity on them. That's true. I'm just going to let this roll out to 120 and then take a look at that. It's fun. I like it pooling at the bottom like that. I'll be honest, guys. I wasn't sure I wasn't sure how this would turn out, but it's looking kind of cool. It's turning out okay. Obviously, you need to surface and do some of those things as well to kind of get yourself. Dynamic tree and Kinefx and Vellum. Man, I need to, you know what? I need to talk to Michael Goldfarb about that, because he's been talking about Vellum trees for a while. I've heard him talk about it, and I just need to be like, Michael, you need to do Vellum trees and come back on our stream. I don't know if you remember Michael coming on the stream. Gosh, it must have been over a year ago now. He came on and did some Kinefx stuff. Michael is another one of the training leads at Side Effects. He's been doing character animation stuff for years. He's worked in Houdini doing character animation for like 20 some years. And he also was on the original dev team for the old character tools. And when they switched over to Kinefx, he moved over to be on the education team. So that was a cool addition to our team. But yeah, I should have him do that. That would be really fun. That'd be a good one. Okay, yes, let's add some initial velocity. I think that'll be the last step here that I'll be able to get to tonight. But that turned out pretty cool. It's got some cool goopiness to it. It's fun. Oh, I didn't cache it, dummy. And it's definitely like, yeah, it's too much. I didn't up my fluid solver, so yeah, 5 gigs is not going to hold all that data. Let's see here. Yeah, I got plenty. Let's do 48. That'll be fine for right now. I'm going to undo this so that I don't move my camera. All right, let's get some random velocity coming in here. So here's our fluid crystals, right? When they pop in. What do we have on here? Oh, you know what? We have that up vector. I bet you we could use that to our advantage. All right, let's do this. Let's unpack these. Shouldn't really change a whole lot to unpack these. So we unpack those there. I mean, that's going to be happening inside of that anyway, so I don't really think, yeah, there's not going to be any real change to how this is going to work. However, we will have some more attributes here now, one of them being up. And if you remember, that was one of these attributes we set before. I was not even thinking that that would be beneficial to us, but there's our up vectors. So that's cool. So let's take that, and we could probably just convert that over to velocity, I think. All right, so I'm just going to slide this down a little bit because we're going to add a few more nodes in here. So we're just slide these down. All right, so we're unpacking our geometry. That's good. I don't think we need to transfer any attributes. No, I don't think so. I don't see anything there. And let's do an attribute rename. Don't need to do anything overly fancy. We'll just the point attribute up. We're going to change that to V, up to V. If we look here now, we should have the like little tiny things. They're going to be scaled down quite a bit, but there are some velocity vectors. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do an attribute adjust vector. I'm going to just make sure that these we'll do length only, and we'll just multiply them by just a little bit of noise maybe. And we'll say the minimum value is like maybe do 0.5 for half. And then we'll do maybe 1.5 so they can either be a little less or a little bit more. And I'm actually going to turn on, hello? What did that do? There we go. Let's turn on the velocity vectors as well. There we go. So now we can see those. So if we do this, we'll do 0.5 and 1.5. So we're multiplying those between a minimum and max. Let's just see what the difference here is going to be. Yep. So some of these are going to get smaller. Some are going to get longer. It's just going to add a little bit of noise to this. Should be good. And I think the other thing I want to do is maybe, is there a pre-process? Yeah, let's do this. Let's pre-process and make these all unit length just as a pre-process. That's just making sure that they're all of a standard length to start, just in case something weird was coming in with these up vectors. So we're going to do that. And then I'm going to do another thing, an attribute adjust vector again. These are just a little easier to deal with. You could do this all in Vex, obviously. I just like to show some of these ways that you can manipulate these without code. I think it's just helpful for a lot of people to not get freaked out by how some of these things are done. But instead here, what I'm going to do, we've got an attribute adjust vector, and I am just going to do an add a constant. And if we do this, we can add a little bit of up translation into it. You can see right there. So now we have this multiplication here that's scaling them. And then we're randomly, or not randomly, we're just adding a little bit of a constant velocity. So they go up a little bit, maybe 0.5, something like that, just to add some up velocity to it. All right, let's see how this works. Let's see what we get here. These should all now be sourced in and should have a velocity on them, hopefully. Okay. Oh, right. I think that's in the velocity volume. Right. Okay. Let's just try this. Let's see what happens. I think we'll be okay. I think it'll work. Yeah, it's working. And I'm just remembering that we actually would need these to be way bigger because that's barely anything over gravity. So if we did like 5, that's actually going to be the like the gravitational force. So let's change this a little bit. Maybe we'll do 1 for the minimum value and we'll do 5 for the maximum. Then that way we've got a little bit more there that we can work with. Let's see how that goes. Turn this off. No, I don't like that so much. I mean, it's doing stuff. It's getting some velocity in it, but no. That's not really doing what I want it to do. Let's see here. Just going to see what we can kind of play around with here. So let's turn this visualizer back on. We'll say noise. Maybe bring the amplitude to 5 and let's say add maybe. Yeah, we'll add some zero center noise in. Okay, I think that's good. Let's just see if this adjusts anything. Yeah, okay. So that way we could influence it more if we wanted to based on the direction it's going in. So that's kind of cool. All right, we'll turn that off for now. So we could kind of keep them all going together, or we could really noise them up a bunch. All right, let's see. Let's see what we got going on here. Turn that off again. Wait a second. Why is that doing that? Oh, right. This is... Let's just try that. Let's see how that looks. Oh, created an infinite loop. Hey, hacks. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. We're just about done for today, but welcome. I'm curious why these aren't like diverging more. I wonder if it's just a problem of there not being enough geometry. That might be what it is. It's definitely doing something. I mean, it's not the same as it was. It's definitely changing. It's doing some weird stuff. Let's see here. Better late than never. Exactly. Yeah, this is doing something different. I mean, it's definitely creating a different look. Let's see here. I'm just going to make a new timeline. Yeah, that's kind of cool. All right, let's play this back. What I am going to do is do this. I don't think we'll have those bounding boxes anymore. Yeah. I mean, part of the problem here is that the viscosity's turned on too, so it's going to all try to go in one direction. It's not just going to splash like crazy. But it's kind of doing something different. Hey, Hacks, that's an interesting idea. Yeah. I think what part of Vellum are you interested in? Because that is certainly a good question. In fact, funny enough, it's something that I'm doing a little bit of training for instructors on, just some of those newer things with working with RBD and Vellum. Is there a specific thing like doing it with a grain simulation or with what kind of Vellum simulations are you looking at? Because the reason I ask is because there is this newer Vellum shape matching property that works pretty cool. It's pretty nice. It actually uses grains to like match the shape and collide based on that. And so that, if you're doing anything with Vellum, is what I would recommend to use personally. This is pretty fun. Sorry, I'm just sitting here. I love watching simulations. I can literally watch them all day. Oh, it gives, yeah, no, you can definitely get them without deformation. Yeah, for sure. That would be a great topic suggestion. If you have maybe some examples or something like that you can find online, I'd be really curious to see what kind of stuff you're trying to do. I don't know when I'd be able to do that particularly, because next week I won't be streaming. I haven't. Yeah, why don't you put it in the topic suggestions on the Discord server? I'd be very Yeah, that could be really cool. Yeah, I think that would be worthwhile to figure out maybe how it would look. If you have any like what do you call it? If you have any reference type stuff, that would be really cool to see. So I think we'd really have to push this like pretty hard to get like some more interesting like big like explosion-y stuff. I feel like if we went here and really went like, I don't know, 15 or something crazy, let's see if that pushes it. Yeah, that'd be great. I'm curious to see what kind of stuff that you're. Oh, what the heck? What just happened? That went too fast. It's cached already. Oh, okay. It didn't reset. That's weird. All right, let's see this. This is going to really. Yeah, I think that could be a really fun like example to show things falling on strings and breaking them and some different things like that. That could be kind of neat. Well, this looks like this is actually exploding a little bit more, so that's kind of cool. Oh, actually, you know what? Let me go back. We'll go up here. And then this way we can actually see it properly. If I deselect it, that is. There we go. So now this is the one with the really high velocity. This is lower velocity. This is no velocity. So it's definitely, there's a difference. Definitely a difference. Kind of fun. Just kind of like pops off. Yeah, I think, Andy, I think that got what you were kind of thinking. It might actually break the boundary of the domain for the fluid simulation, but yeah, it's okay. Not the end of the world. It's very bizarre looking. It's like all of a sudden it just turns into this goopy weird thing. The one at the top is like blasting. It's going, I could see it peeking over this right here. It's going so far. That's funny. Yeah, so there we go. I think we kind of got what we were looking for from this simulation here. Obviously, next steps would be surfacing and rendering and things like that. Definitely not going to get to that tonight because it's already 8:30. But yeah, it's starting to get somewhere. Let me take a. If you guys have any last questions or thoughts or anything like that before we're done with the stream for the evening, I'd certainly be curious to hear anything, any last thoughts, any parting thoughts. And thank you as always to Henry for poking around in the chat and helping out with some of the random little things that I get myself, stuck with on MOPs. But I think we got to see a lot of really cool little ways that you can, make MOPs do some work for you, right? Like help you create like more interesting, timing on growth and things like that. So I think it should be pretty, hopefully be a fun little example. And you can see how you can, even use it for triggering effects and different things like that. I mean, there's tons of stuff you can do. There definitely would be a way you could take those triggered effects from that fall off and randomize it even more if you wanted to. I mean, it's already fairly random. I mean, we're randomizing the time and things like that, but you could even randomize maybe how long they might go after they get past that certain threshold. For example, you could just use the elapsed time to trigger based off of that, and just randomly pick a trigger per point or something like that, or per packed object. And once it gets past that threshold of, each one maybe has a number between, or an elapsed time between 12 and 24 frames, and once it hits that randomized value, then it triggers. So there's a lot of different ways that you could do that. So yeah, it certainly is not, there's multiple ways that you can do these things, and I think you can get a lot of really interesting effects out of it that way. So something really weird that happens right here. If you see right here, something really weird happens there. Like, I don't know what is happening there. That is really strange. I want to see what that's doing after this last frame finishes. It's so bizarre. What the heck is it doing? What the heck was that? What angle are we looking at here? Oh, okay. Okay, I see what's happening. It's hitting the bound. I knew that was going to happen somewhere here. That's just too much of a force this way, and it's hitting the boundary, and so it's deleting those points because it's going outside. Yeah, it was. I was like, I hope that's what it's doing, and it's not just like randomly like reforming that or something. That would have been, yeah. I was like, that's doing some weird stuff. Nope, just a camera trick. Oh, it was aliens. The aliens grabbed that part and pushed it back together. Anyways, there we go. Weird goopy tree. Anyways, I think that's where we will wrap up for the evening. Certainly always very fun to have you guys all here. If you guys have any suggestions for future things that we can talk about, how you might do with MOPs, I'm always interested in that as well. Sometimes I'm just kind of coming up with ideas here. I really love the idea of kind of enabling more motion graphics people to be able to feel able to, and, excited to pick up Houdini and not be, so scared by either all the programming that you have to do or whatever. There's lots of cool stuff that can be done with tools like MOPs, and without really a lot of coding or anything like that. I think there was one piece of coding that we did basically today, I think, and that was pretty much it. So yeah, hopefully that is just interesting to those of you who are out there doing motion graphics type stuff. And it's that was my first entryway to Houdini, was trying to integrate motion graphics. So hopefully this is just a good little introduction for some of you folks. Anyways, thanks so much for joining this evening. It's always fun to have, be able to chat with you guys in the in the chat, whatever. Terribly formed sentence, but yeah, and as always, please connect on Discord if you're interested in talking there. And there's always lots of interesting conversations happening there, and they've been kind of going more and more. I'm not always available to jump in, but other people jump in from time to time. And like this past weekend, some people were chatting about something, and it's just cool to be able to see other people that have found this stream being able to help other people. And I'm not the only one that knows things, and lots of people know a lot more than me. So coding is fun. I agree. I did not know how to code before Houdini, and I mean a little bit, but barely. And so this is really fun. I always love coding, but some people can get freaked out by it. So I like to give, especially on these kind of streams, like when we're doing MOPs based stuff, try to have as less coding, more fun and fall offs and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, it's a good learning experience for me, because learning new tools in Houdini is always great. So Anyways, thank you all for joining. And on Wednesday, we'll be doing some more fun stuff. Maybe we'll be doing some shape match stuff in Vellum and playing around with that. I think I have talked about. It's always so hard because like I've done so many of these things. It's hard to remember what I have and haven't done. But yeah, that could certainly be a pretty fun thing. So yeah, please, if you have comments to or ideas for streams, please drop those in the Discord server, and I'm always keeping an eye on those, seeing what people are interested in. All right, well, everyone, have a wonderful rest of your night or your morning or whatever time it might be, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday. Yeah, by teaching others, you learn yourself. I completely agree. I love seeing other people like get topics and have them click. That's one of my favorite things, is just seeing other people get excited about stuff. So, yeah. Anyways, have a great night, and I'll see you guys in a couple evenings on Wednesday. See you then. Bye, everybody.